we seem to be told to change something about our lifestyle, from eating 5 portions of fruit and veg a day to cutting down on alcohol to cutting out bacon. Well, today a new study suggests swapping beef burgers for chicken cuts, which will cut the risk of breast cancer by more than a quarter. But when you read all these various health warnings, do you actually pay attention to them?
Well, I think the problem is there's so many contradictions. One minute you can, then you can't. And, you know, I've always sort of tried to be healthy, fitness, and eat well, everything in moderation. But it was until my sister-in-law was diagnosed with breast cancer 8 years ago. I went to visit with her to her professor. And then a few years later, I had regular mammograms. And he said to me, you know, oh, you'll be glad to know that you have less density in your breasts than your average person your age. I'm like, that's good. That means they're saggy. No, it means you have less fat cells, and cancer lives in the fat cells, feeds on sugar. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to eat less fat and less sugar. So that's the key that stuck with me. So I think the health warnings are very important. It's just very confusing when they start mentioning different products and then you don't know where you are. So education, I believe, really should start in schools, because even at home, as adults, you know, we're old enough to make our own decisions, not be told what to do. But it's the children that maybe learn from the parents, good or bad. So at school, if they could be taught the basic healthy nutritions, that would be a start, I think.
But you see, you're mentioning your sister and so on. When Karen was diagnosed with cancer, the first thing the specialist said to her, and I'm going back now 14 years, first thing he said was, cut out red meat and a lot of the fat. Now, I, for the life of me, do not understand why the government or health authorities don't tell women well in advance, young girls like the ones we have sitting here, you know, cut down on your red meat because it can lead to cancer. So that's one thing. I passionately believe that these campaigns help. For example, I would be classified as pre-diabetic, and I just found out quite by accident, but I was taught and convinced by health messages that I should cut out sugar and cut down on my carbs. Not only did 2 stone drop off, but also my sugar levels went down. Now, this is where the messages have to get out. And I believe that we all have to be proactive if we can, as preventive as we can. So I don't agree with the Michael Buerks of this world who says, well, just let the fat ones die off. I don't. And if it was his family, he would not think that.
I think what he's saying, though...
It's their choice, isn't it?
He's saying it's people's choice and it's a sign of weakness. What Michael Buerk was actually saying is we're classifying obesity as a disease where it's a lifestyle choice for
it doesn't mean you give up, though. It doesn't mean you give up on people.
Well, he's saying, I'm not talking in his defence, but I think what he was trying to make the point, which is that not everybody who's obese is obese for medical reasons, and it's not always a disease. It is a lifestyle choice, and it's a sloppy choice in our opinion. Well, in my opinion,
sugar is more addictive than cocaine, apparently. So it can be difficult. People need help.
Absolutely, but to be completely self-centred, from quite a few years ago, I decided that if I want to live to be 100, or at least, you know, close to 100, I am not going to allow my body to rot through putting rubbish in it, because if you put rubbish in, that's what happens. But, you know, I do believe, as you said earlier, the messages on a daily basis are utterly confusing, utterly confusing. Because remember, butter was in, then it was out, then it was in again in moderation. The truth is, most things are OK in moderation, but as a nation, we're really bad at moderation.
Overindulging.
And also, when you go to the supermarkets now and you look at something like yoghurt, which is perfectly OK in moderation, you've got jumbo packs of everything. Everything has kind of grown in size, like the chocolate bars, the yoghurt cart.
Yeah, I do feel though now the generation now are growing up better about food and being more aware of health and food and more educated. I know just from my children, they're very much more aware of it than I ever was. But I still think it's a choice, and I think it is a choice in some respects, but also there's people that have, you know, we talk about how serious mental health issues are, and a lot of very, very morbidly obese people, that can stem back to mental health issues that they had. So you can't just say, like, oh, well, it's their choice, they're just fat, they eat too much, let them die. I mean, that's just...
Well, it's funny actually, see, now Janet mentioned yoghurt, and the report came in from America a couple of years ago, and the front headline was, sugar is poison. But then we all had to be taught, because we had been thinking of fat-free yoghurt. The worst thing, I mean, a heart doctor told me that I tell all my patients, do not have fat-free yoghurt, because they take out the fat and they pack it with sugar.
And certainly don't eat that yoghurt with fruit bits in it. I mean, I try, if I'm going... I would think you have to have a certain amount of yoghurt for your gut and for bone density. So you don't want people to give up everything. And I've researched yoghurt, a lot of stuff about yoghurt, and it's utterly confusing. 10 years ago, there were 5 brands of yoghurt. Now, you go into the supermarket, there are about 400 brands. And what you must try and buy is the one that's had the least done to it.
Yes, well,
so
look at the ingredients. If there's a short list of ingredients, you're doing better. And the thing is, with teaching children at a young age, because we do need fat in our bodies, but it's the right fat.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I sadly see, on some occasions, as we said, adults are old enough to make their own decisions, but when you see people that are irresponsible the way they eat and they feed their children junk food every day.
You must see that in America.
That saddens me, and I think that's child abuse, really. Yeah. I mean, they don't have a choice, do they? And
but you must see that a lot in America, where it's eat as much as you want, $5 or something.
But I think one simple way of making sure the next generation eat better is to reintroduce cookery lessons in school.
Absolutely.
And also make school meals compulsory. Where did this freedom of choice come from? It's ridiculous. Freedom of choice means that people be eating rubbish. And interestingly enough, in Italy, they've just made school dinners compulsory. And of course, they've been outraged about, you know, children losing the freedom of choice. But if in Italy, which we all regard as a country with wonderful food and great cuisine, if they're making school meals compulsory because they don't want to beat children, it's definitely something...
Well, I tell you what, we did a poll today on this. Do health warnings make you change your lifestyle? And very rarely this happens. It was absolutely 50-50.
Was it?
Yeah. And Jane says, yes, most definitely. I had a health scare a few years back as my blood pressure was very high. I was put on a no salt, no sugar and no fat diet. I lost 2.5 stones, so I do now watch what I eat. Gemma, on the other hand, says, I don't pay a single bit of attention. If cancer is going to get you, it's going to get you. Therefore, I'll continue living my life and eat what I want. So 2 very different opinions there. I am going to die young, guys, but I don't want you to cry because I'm very happy. Seriously, I eat too much cake.